I mean, okay, sure, Draymond punched him, blah blah blah.
I love how you just gloss over Draymond cold clocking him in the face.
Okay. However, if it's true what he said, bitch had it coming. All right, welcome back to another episode of What Are They Going to Say Now? This is a two-parter. We have our part two. We have our guest Matt Kusek here from the Swoosh Life Podcast, and we just did part one. We talked about the Masters and the golf world and all that, and some of our listeners probably don't care about golf at all, so we got that out of our system, and now, including Tony, and now we are going to go do a deep dive into the NBA. The play-in tournament is almost over, and we're about to kick off the playoffs, so we'll talk about some storylines and maybe some playoff predictions, at least for the first round or maybe beyond.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back, Matt.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us. And yeah, where should we start? You were talking about at the end of our previous podcast and the end of eras.
How do you guys feel?
Tony and our hardcore lifelong Warriors fans, so we have to do a post-mortem of sorts on the Warriors dynasty.
And I'm not here to gloat. I'm just truly interested because I think last year we talked about hey,
let those guys. Lakers fan.
Yeah, let those guys have their run. I'm a Bulls fan who never got to see the end of his era. We all feel like it was premature. We never. So I always feel like would I have wanted to see Scotty and Mike struggling and not making the playoffs the way that you guys just did? Or, does it add to the mystique of the 90s Bulls that, it was cut premature? So, I want to hear, everything you guys got to go through right now.
That's a really good point. I'd see two sides of it. That is kind of cool because the Bulls and MJ and all that went out on top.
Yeah.
However, everyone also felt very much that they could have maybe won another one.
Oh,
so it was a tease for sure. And all the stuff with Jerry Krause and all that. So, however, yeah, you didn't have to see the decline. But then you also lost MJ. You could have had a couple more years of him. I mean, he retired and then went to the Wizards and all of that. So on the flip side, I'm happy because Steph's going to be a Warrior for life. Most Warriors fans will tell you if the Warriors could trade Steph and then win a championship, or they keep Steph and don't, I would say, I want to keep Steph.
Keep Steph. Yeah. 100%.
Most Warriors fans wouldn't even hesitate. They're like, no, I want Steph to be a Warrior for life. So... which sounds crazy, but I guess when you've had 4 rings in the last several years, it changes your perspective. But I mean, I genuinely feel that way. I know Tony does too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, there's definitely some heartache that goes with seeing those guys that you're just used to winning everything, right? You're just used to seeing them just be a machine in the playoffs, having no problem getting to the playoffs. And you're starting to see that, they're mortal a little bit now. They're up there in age. It's not the margin for error is nowhere near what it was before. They could kind of float around in a game and be down 15, 20 points and just decide to turn it on and dominate. And it's not there anymore. They have to do it like everybody else. So.
Well, and the Western Conference is insanely deep.
Brutal.
Insane.
Yeah.
But also I will say, so I was not a believer in this Warriors team after about the first 2 weeks of the season. And I was like, nah, they sucked me back in because they did have the 4th best record in the league after February 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I never thought they were going to win a ring this year. Never thought that. Tony didn't either.
Yep.
But I did think, well, maybe they can get in the play-in and make some noise in the first round, scare a team, maybe get to the second round. You never know. Someone like that. But I never thought they were going to, even make the finals. I wasn't delusional. Yeah. They clearly had problems, and they looked old and slow against the Kings.
That's why I tried to interest you in Zach LaVine. You wouldn't take it. I tried to get you guys interested in Zach LaVine.
No, I was interested in Zach LaVine. I thought didn't he want to come to the Warriors?
Oh, that part I didn't know.
I didn't hear that.
I don't know. I think you guys were offering us Clay, right? You guys were offering us Clay, and I think we wanted CP's expiring contract.
Oh, you know what? My mistake. DeMar DeRozan wanted to come to the Warriors at one point. That's what it was.
Okay.
Which
Like
I don't know if that would have been a fit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Zach's underrated. Like, I think if he's motivated and he's on a championship contender, and I think if Zach's around players that are better than him, you've seen him on Team USA, like, up his level of play and, like, play defense and play kind of that role player in a way. So, dude, I think Zach would have been a good fit for you guys. I think it would have worked out really well.
I like Levine. I think he would have been a good fit for sure.
Yeah.
And he's got the shooting, right? So I don't know.
I think they made a gamble, thinking that everything would coalesce and, you know, kind of bring some of the 2022 magic back, and it just didn't happen. You know, we didn't get the Wiggins. We haven't had the Wiggins of 2022 since then at all. Maybe a stretch of a few games, but
it's clear the Warriors, like, everyone's on the table except but Steph. I think they keep the trio and core with Draymond and Clay, assuming Clay doesn't go money chasing.
Yeah.
You like, supposedly the Orlando Magic might throw in some crazy offer. That's been the rumor. But aside from that, they need to blow it up. Try and put something around Steph and see what happens. But they need to move on from Wiggins. He can be really good some nights, but here's the problem. This is a guy who made the All-Star game 2 years ago. I often am watching games and I forget Wiggins is on the team.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Wiggins, look at that.
Which is exactly what they said about him in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Do you guys regret moving Poole? Would you have traded Draymond?
No, hell no. I'm so glad to be out of that contract. Because last season, I mean, okay, sure, Draymond punched him, blah, blah, blah.
I love how you just gloss over Draymond clocking him in the face.
Okay. However, if it's true what he said, bitch had it coming. Dude, you're telling Draymond, who has, you know, at the time, he has 4 rings, integral part of one of the best teams of all time, and you say, like, you know, you're Steph's backpack and stuff. That's some disrespectful shit you don't say to a teammate.
Kind of true, but kind of true.
And I get it, but he punched him in the face in front of the team.
Okay, so fine. If you're that soft that you're going to then play like crap the entire rest of the season, I mean, I think you forget how many text messages we had in games where it's like, oh, the Warriors were up like by a point or as a tie game, and then there's 20 seconds in the shot clock and Poole shoots it from 40 feet out, and Curry's like, "What are you doing?" That's the famous like chuck the mouth guard.
Yeah.
That's when I knew he was gone.
Yeah.
Because when you're pissing Curry off, and Curry's pretty chill, he's just like, "What the hell, dude?"
Right.
So my point is, and then Poole. Remember, Poole goes to Washington this season, last off season. Oh, he might win the scoring title. Yeah, no, he's not. He had
a good end to the season. He was playing better then, and then all the conversations came back up. I mean, I think
over halfway through the season, he had the worst plus minus in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it comes down to is they had to either get rid of Poole or Draymond, and they went with Draymond. They made
the right choice. Yeah, Draymond's got his own issues. Jesus.
I mean, he does.
See, I disagree. I disagree. I think he is Steph's backpack. I think looking from afar, I know you guys
what about his defense? What about his defense?
That was 5 years ago. Like he's not that good defensively if he's not kicking guys in the nuts anymore. Like
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that.
You know, this is a common take on Draymond though. So I'm interested to hear what you're saying.
Years ago. Like you can see, like it ain't 4 years ago. Like he's not the magic eraser that he used to be. And I think that was the magic,
I will agree with that.
Like, and you could plug him in and he could cover like look, if Steph's having a tough time, like you could plug him in on a guard because he could move so well. He doesn't move like that anymore, right? Like that's part of age. And I think that's why Poole. Yeah. I think that's why like loading up on guards like Poole and Wiggins, like I think that was your better move because that movement is what made the Warriors special at all times. Draymond does not move like that anymore.
Okay, so fair criticism of Draymond, but as far as Poole goes, dude, you were not watching him play night in, night out. We were just like his horrible. He shot like 32% from 3. He below league average. He was so bad. His decision making. He'd like run down the court and hop in the air and get stuck in the air and throw the ball for a turnover. He was a turnover machine. His last year with the Warriors, he led the league in turnovers per minute. With barely any assists. He had the worst turnover assist ratio in the league. So my point is, everything you said about Draymond, very fair criticism, but I'm so relieved to not be in that pool contract that we gave him. It's an albatross.
Well, you guys just pay the most money of any team in the league anyways.
Right.
And I think if I was ownership, like right now, I'd be like, yeah, what are we getting out of this, right? Like if Clay, you want to chase money, like then that's on Clay.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you see going forward from the outside? Because
what would you do? What do you think they should do?
I'm interested to see what you think their path should be.
I'm just another dude with a podcast, right? So like, take this all with a grain of salt. But
hey, look, I'll tell you what, the guys on ESPN, by the way, former players, have some of the worst takes I've ever heard. So, guy in the podcast is often more accurate. Sorry, go ahead.
And look, I think if I was the owner, I'm like, look, this is all because of Steph. Like, Steph gets to stay, and I think what you guys probably don't know and what won't come out for years is like, okay, who's Steph vouching for? Who is Steph? Is Steph having any say? I guess is my question. Because is that why Draymond's still around? Is that why Clay is still around? And if somebody wants to give Clay all that money, like, I'd let him walk, man. Like it's like Pippen. Like, yo, you got a bad back. You got bad wheels. Pippen had a bad back. This guy has bad wheels. Like maybe it's not wrong. A bad idea.
I have a Klay Thompson jersey hanging up behind me. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And I think the frustration is seen on Steph, but Steph knows that he can't. I think here's the thing: Steph knows that he cannot complain about Klay. He cannot complain about Draymond. Because there's such, Draymond's such a strong personality. So he does take it out on the lesser players, right? Or like he'll huff and puff around those lesser players. And maybe because those guys have been through the fire with him, he's going to be always blindly loyal to them. So so from the outside looking in, there's a dynamic there that makes it hard for me to make that decision. I think like, look, does Steph want to be on a team also that's not going to make the playoffs the next 4 or 5 years? Because this Wiggins thing, look, Wiggins, for as much as he's getting paid, has to produce more, and I get it. Everybody has their personal battles to fight. So, like, I hate calling a guy out, but you guys have a lot of guys that have underperformed. And it used 100%. To be guys
Wiggins has to go. Wiggins has to go.
Iguodala comes and plays above his age and talent at the time because he's the 4th, 5th option. And that's why, like, Poole kind of looked decent because he's the 4th, 5th option. But now you have guys that have to play better so that, Steph could be, not the, the main focus, right? Like, you got to help him
or
out.
Just like, or I mean, like when he's off the floor too, like that kind of matters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just my biggest concern is I hope we can get off of Wiggins without having to give up Kuminga, because I think he really showed something in the second half of this season.
Well, and I heard that's why the Bulls really wanted Kuminga, and he would have been great. Like, honestly, you know what I think would have been a great trade for you guys from us, at least from our side, is like I would have taken Kuminga and you guys could have had Vooch, like a 3-point shooting big. I know he had his like worst season ever, but like I think Vooch would play very well with you guys, very well, because you guys actually move the ball. I think that's what frustrates Vooch. Like we play a lot of hero ball here in Chicago, and DeMar. That's why I never felt like DeMar would have been a good fit with you guys. Like
that's fair.
I love DeMar. I love watching DeMar. I don't mind having DeMar on the Bulls. I don't know how he would have fit in, like, the movement style of the Warriors.
Yeah, and the system, kind of right? Yeah.
But we're in the play-in, and you're not. So,
yeah.
But the East.
Wait. Hang on.
Yeah.
What was that regular season record?
I'm as shocked as you are. Like I'm looking, I'm like, wait, they're in the play-in and they're like sub 500. Like, what are we doing here, NBA? Like this is silly.
What's wild is the Warriors were the 10th seed. They had 2 more wins this season than last year when they were the 6th seed.
Yep.
It's wildly deep.
It's the West, and the West is only getting better too. Like the teams below us are, Houston, San Antonio with Wemby, they're coming up. There's a lot of these teams behind us. It's not like they're getting worse.
Dude, reminds me of like the 2000s when the West was dominant. Remember 100%. How like look, I love LeBron, but like the argument that the East was always garbage in his time is very valid, right? Because like the East was weak for a very long time.
Trying to get getting to the conference or getting to the finals in the East during this stretch.
Right.
Not a lot of heavy hitters. They were all in the West. That's definitely a thing.
Yeah, still an achievement as a rookie.
You can only beat who's in front of you. So but it's true. Fair. Like it doesn't, want to hear a wild prediction?
Okay.
And I'm probably the first. Okay. The Lakers are going to play the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to curb stomp them. LeBron's like, I have a year or 2 left, 3 max. Curry's getting old. LeBron to the Warriors.
There was some chatter about that earlier this season. There was, yeah.
And they like each other. They played really well together in the All-Star game. I'm telling you, I meant that would be the most like off-season push the nuclear red button wild shit to go down. This is the only time I can ever see it happening.
What's the result in that? Do you think that results in them being able to build enough around them to actually compete to win a title?
The inside-outside game of those two, even if they're advanced
at their ages now, that's my thing. I just don't. I don't think Steph could ever allow that one to happen.
I'm just setting the table for this. So on the extremely outside chance that it does ever happen, I just said it. That's all I'm saying. Would I bet on it happening? No. But it's not the craziest thing because LeBron, at least would still be in California. Kids right there. That's no big deal. Hour flight. Boom.
Yeah.
It's not that far-fetched. He's talked about wanting to play with Steph in the past. Whatever.
Yeah,
so
but
it means we have to draft Bronny, right?
Yeah, but remember the Cabana boat? Like weren't all those guys supposed to play with each other? Remember CP3 and Melo?
Never happened.
Yeah. Who was on the boat? It was Wade with LeBron, CP3, and Carmelo. Is that what it was? Carmelo? Yeah.
Yeah.
The banana boat in Florida.
If I ever had like one criticism of CP3, like I get it, you got to get your money, dude. But like, if that dude would have just taken less money at a couple places, like you'd probably have your championship by now.
Before this year, you're talking about, right? Before he was.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, this version of Chris Paul, I just think
because he was always traded, but the amount of money he took required him to be traded, I guess, is the argument, right?
Exactly. And like the fact that like he wouldn't rework, and I get it, he's like players union president, so he's always got to like, get the most of what he can out of it. But like, you look at that Phoenix situation, like they're this close. Like rework your deal, dude. And maybe the NBA is not quite like the NFL where guys can rework their deals, but I've always felt like, man, CP3 could have taken less and played with a lot of other great players who would have loved to have played with him.
Absolutely.
Isn't it wild to think CP3 almost played with Kobe?
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that would have been probably
from New Orleans in the trade that got nixed and got nixed, and then he went to the Clippers.
But then they let the Celtics do the big three, but they wouldn't let Kobe and CP3 play together.
Yeah, right. I mean, the trade was done, and then it was nixed. Now, to be fair, a lot of conspiracy theorists are like, well, the league was controlling the Pelicans at the time when that was happening.
Right. Yep.
They got a better deal from the Clippers than they did from the Lakers, so they actually did right by that franchise. By nixing that trade.
That is correct.
Weird. But it's still a wild what if.
It's definitely a what if. Yeah,
definitely a what if. But that Clippers team, Lob City, that was a good team. That was a good fun team to watch.
Yeah. Right. CP3. I mean, I've never been a CP3 fan, but him and Blake Griffin were fun to watch.
I think it's JJ valid argument now. The Doc Rivers argument. Yeah, Doc Rivers took that over for.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay. The Milwaukee Bucks, had the second best record in the league. They were a few games behind the Celtics. They fired their coach and bring in Doc Rivers. They finished the season under Doc Rivers 17-19.
Not great, Bob.
And almost Doc Rivers is going to get bailed out by the fact that Giannis is injured. But they played horribly under him since he came in. And they're going to lose in the playoffs, and they'll be like, well, Giannis was hurt. But it's like, they kind of looked pretty bad for the last 2 months.
That's right. So, Giannis to the Warriors now, too, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Let's go, yes.
Oh, I like that one.
You heard it here.
Oh, Middleton ain't what Middleton was, right? Like, that's one. Like, that team's not. And
how old is Middleton now? Mid-30s?
I think his body is 45. His knees are 50. I think that's the problem. I'm not going to say he played over his head, but he definitely peaked in that playoff run that he had along with Giannis.
Years ago.
Yeah, doing amazing.
He's 32.
Amazing stuff.
Wow. He's 32 years old.
He's older than people realize. Same thing with Lillard.
I didn't realize that.
I thought he was like 35.
Do you remember how old Lillard is?
I believe he's younger than that.
And that's one of those things where it's like, careful what you wish for, because I don't think Giannis realized.
I think Lillard's 34, 35.
33. Wow.
Turning 34 soon, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he might have like a CP3 like game to him where, he doesn't take like a pounding, like same thing with CP3, right? Like his game was like finesse, floor general kind of thing. So I could see him playing for a longer time, but I don't think he's the force that they envisioned. And also, I think it's interesting because, look, the Bucks win that championship with him as the primary ball handler. Like that was the revolutionary thing that like Budenholzer was doing, right? Like,
yep,
yeah. Okay, we'll let you be Mega Pippin. and shout out to my guy Jason Goff. He's the pre and post game show host of the Chicago Bulls here. When Giannis was in summer league, he told everybody this guy is Mega Pippin. That's what he nicknamed him. He's like, watch this guy like evolve, and then he has the growth spurt and does all that. So you have this like primary ball handler, this amazing ball player in Giannis, and then your decision to make everything better is bring in a point guard, a guy who's ball dominant in Dame Lillard, and ask him now essentially to play off the ball. And now like he has no friends in Milwaukee, and I'm like, Milwaukee's kind of cool town, dude. Actually, don't be talking about Milwaukee like it's that much worse than Portland. Like it's actually like the same vibe. Kind of thing, but he's going through some personal stuff too. So it's like, we also don't know like how the personal stuff affects players, and things like that. But yeah, I think it's interesting. They got rid of their coach, and then they got rid of another coach, and they're trying to keep that superstar happy.
The biggest thing I think was getting rid of Drew Holiday, because I think bringing him 100%. In and that fit, to me, like that's what won them the championship, right?
And then Boston just extended him, gave him a big contract.
100%. Yeah. That's a perfect fit there. I mean,
Drew's underrated.
I didn't understand that. I mean, you're talking about, offensively, Lillard is probably better than more consistent than Drew Holiday. But what you're losing defensively, and like that's really where Milwaukee seemed to struggle this year. Is
Lillard versus Drew Holiday defensively is night and day. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean,
and that's where my NBA pick is leaning. Just letting you guys know ahead of time. I don't know if it's time to do the picks.
Well, I was going to say, let's get into the picks.
Okay.
Before we go, we'll do first round and who we have, but I'm going to do overall champion. It has to be the Celtics.
Chicago Bulls. Oh.
Yeah. No. It has to be the Celtics. They keep knocking on the door. They've been so dominant this year. They end up with 60-something wins. And they've just been absolutely dominant.
Celtics over the Nuggets?
They lost a heartbreaker to the Warriors when they were up 2-0 a couple of years ago. Little transition stuff going on between with that loss that they had. They seem way overdue. I can't pick against them. Also, the Nuggets won it last year. It's really hard to repeat. Everyone knows that. It's very difficult to repeat. So I got to go with the Celtics to win it all.
Interesting.
You guys?
Let me think. It's either the Celtics or the Nuggets. I kind of feel like
that's my finals match.
Yeah. I kind of feel like Denver has that feel of a team that won last year and knows what it takes to win. And like once you crest that hill, you kind of get greedy for getting another one. And I just don't see a fall off enough for them to not win again. So I think I'm going Denver. I also think they're going to have, matchup wise, I think that, I don't know. I think that they can be dominant enough going through the West and then, maybe face a Boston team who's had a little bit of a tougher time. But I don't know, because the East is, I'm not sure.
I don't know. The West is stronger than the East.
It is.
Though,
it
so,
is.
I mean,
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see Denver repeating. For me, so
no, I mean I get that because Oklahoma City, they have arrived, but they're young and inexperienced, and they kind of have to have one of those losses. And then next year they might be a favorite,
Right. Maybe to get Minnesota, that you got all these inexperienced teams that I feel like is going to be their matchups to get to the finals. So,
but Boston, I mean, their road is, Embiid just came back. They were looking really bad in that play-in game the other night, then turned it on the second half. But I don't think they're that worried about Philly. Giannis is hurt. The Bucks have fallen apart. I think Boston's going to cakewalk to the finals. So I don't know.
You don't think the New York Knicks are going to give them some trouble?
That's who I'm bandwagoning with the Knicks. I am going to bandwagon with the Knicks, though. The Knicks, ever since they got Anunoby, they got OGA.
I like the Knicks, man.
I like the Knicks. That's who I'm bandwagoning for.
Yep.
I mean, I've always liked the Knicks for the East because, hardcore, long-time suffering fan base, all that. So I actually think that has the potential. Boston and New York might be one of the best playoff series.
That would be a fun Eastern Conference Finals for sure.
Especially like New York and Boston already hate each other and two gritty, tough teams. Like I think it's going to be fun.
Yep.
Okay, Matt, so what's your pick?
Yeah, I want to hear what Matt says.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say
aside from Chicago. I've
right, seen the Tibbs story before. Tibbs gives his main point guard millions of minutes, and he looks amazing, and then they fizzle,
burns him out.
So, but I still wish Tibbs was the coach of the Chicago Bulls. To be honest with you, like I wish he's a guy that I wish that stayed around for a long time. All right,
defensive mastermind.
On my podcast, we did an NBA season preview, and my pick stays the same as my NBA season preview pick. I've got the Boston Celtics over the Denver Nuggets.
Wow, same as me.
I think adding Kristaps, like I think what people don't realize, like Kristaps as the third, fourth option in offensively,
it's great.
That's what we're talking about, right? Like when you push the talent down,
no pressure
at all on him. And the other thing too is people take for granted he's actually not awful defensively. He's got so much length. No. He actually provides like a big matchup problem for a lot of teams, especially when you get like into the, a week-long battle with one other team. And then the Drew Holiday edition, like when that happened, it just happened before we recorded that episode. I'm like, it's got to be Boston. Like it's got to be, because the only thing that can stop Boston right now is Jaylen Brown. I'm sorry. Like that's them. And I think like they just make such tough shots. Like they do make it hard on themselves. So I haven't watched enough of their basketball this year to see if like they've broken out of that. But having that outlet valve in Kristaps as that third option in the offense, I think will help them. And then like Denver, like, it's super hard to repeat. So I actually wouldn't be surprised right now with Minnesota maybe upsetting Denver and Minnesota coming out of the West, but losing to Boston because they are young. Because here's the other thing. They're young and they're not. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards. He's young. Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert are not young. But they're also part of some big time letdowns. Like Rudy Gobert has been part of some like meltdowns. He's had some like top seeds with Utah.
I am not team Rudy Gobert. I'm not a believer.
I don't think.
But there's something to that double big thing because the Bulls started doing it towards the end of this year. And I think there's something like you're going to start to see teams that can't shoot like the Warriors. Like everybody was trying to be the Warriors. And then finally, like we've been saying it here in Chicago, like, how come they don't play Vucevic with Andre Drummond at the same time? And then they started doing it, and it kind of worked. Like, it actually kind of worked because they started grabbing every rebound. Like, they finally broke, like, Cleveland was giving the Bulls big-time trouble. Because Cleveland's long, athletic, young, and then they get on a hot streak, and Donovan Mitchell gets on a hot streak, and then you're kind of screwed because if Donovan Mitchell misses, all the young guys are grabbing rebounds and throwing it and dunking it on Vucevic's head, right?
And they've got the double bigs too, right?
They got the double big thing going. So I feel like the double big thing's coming back. Like I think there's a little circular because, here's the thing about like, you look at these
what's old is new again. It always happens.
That's right.
Because you realize like you don't have generational talent. Like you don't have the greatest shooter of all time in Steph Curry. You don't have a top 5 shooter of all time in Klay Thompson on your team. So maybe we shouldn't shoot 53s a game. Maybe that's not the right way to do this.
It never made sense. The only team that got close to copying the Warriors and doing pretty well with it was the Houston Rockets.
Harden.
Yep, Harden and CP3 when they had that thing going, right? And even those guys aren't.
And not to mention a couple other guys. Yeah, a couple other guys too that could hit them. Yeah. Until they missed 27 in a row.
How did that happen? Like I thought that was going to be CP3's year. Like I wouldn't have been mad if CP3 and Harden figured it out. But then the way that thing devolved, like you guys got this close. Like you were close one year, you went to the second year, got even closer, and then just because you go over 27, like the whole thing's junk.
It just fell apart.
It just fell apart, and CP3 falls into. And the Harden thing's a mystery to me, man. Like it's just so, like. My buddy talks about all the time about like empty calories, right? Like Minnesota Timberwolves, Kevin Love, empty calories, right? Like you're just the best player on a bad team. Was Houston Rockets James Harden empty calories just because of like the usage rate, right? Like same thing with Jalen Brunson and Tibbs. Like you rely on him so much.
Harden's MVP year was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good, but it doesn't translate.
I hate Harden's game.
Yeah, I don't think. And Harden's
actually, I think Harden should have won MVP over Westbrook that year too. The Westbrook year.
Was Westbrook's year the second year of triple doubling? Because
it was right after KD left.
Right. Okay. So that was kind of like, that was the media like, oh, okay, KD did you wrong.
He did the triple double thing, and then but it was like, did you see his efficiency numbers? Harden was a better player that year. So was Curry. So was KD. So was LeBron. I would have had Westbrook like 5th that year.
This sounds like 6th. The Derrick Rose MVP argument. How like, there's big conspiracy
that was different.
That LeBron pissed everybody off going to Miami, so he wasn't gonna. They had to pick.
There's definitely politics in it for sure.
Yeah, but sure. I was actually Derrick Rose deserved it that year. He carried that team on his back. Like I was down with that actually.
Look, that's why like I agree. Like I think one of Steve Nash's MVPs should have gone to Kobe, but he should have at least gotten one of those two, right? Because Steve Nash changed the game with that Suns team. Like they,
100%.
You know, space and pace. Like that was them, right? And he was doing it with Amari Stoudemire. Like he didn't have like a bunch of 3-point shooters. Matt, could you imagine if like Steve Nash, like if they had the vision, like throw Steve Nash with a bunch of shooters around him?
Oh man,
would have been.
And you know what? Honestly, I'm so over awards like MVP. It's great and all. Shaquille O'Neal has one. You know, he was the force of the league. I know he had Kobe, but Kobe was very young.
Yep.
I mean, he was the force of the league for 3 or 4 years. He was just unstoppable. He has one MVP. So it's just
you go down that list.
Don't even care about awards anymore.
Like, and the Jokic thing is interesting because I think there was an argument like why Jokic won 2 or 3, but then he wins the championship. So now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, okay, like maybe we should leave that one alone. But like, should he win another one this year? And then Embiid, like. It looked like Embiid's year, but then he misses so much time.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with Embiid, the injuries.
Then really the best contender is SGA. But because, I mean, they got the 1 seed.
Dude.
Right? Yeah. OKC.
Love that team.
But I think you have to have a coming out year.
Yeah.
Although you could argue that he had one last year.
So
I just feel like SGA might get it next year if he continues.
See, that's the politics of it, right? Like you have to. Like,
no, I know
like
it's always a narrative.
2 or 3. Like, okay, your third good year, you can have the MVP, right?
Right. Yep.
Like Oklahoma City is relevant again with a bunch of young talent, and granted, you know he's got like top tier young talent.
By the way,
him.
Mentioning the OKC, shout out after missing his entire rookie season, Chet Holmgren played every game, 82 games. Good for him.
He's a beast.
And Anthony Davis hit 65 games, I heard. So.
He's trying to shed some street clothes labeling.
So what do you guys think? Are the Spurs in the playoffs next year? Speaking of rookie of the year, it's probably going to be Wemby, right? Like,
I think maybe they'll be in the play-in tournament.
I can see that. Yeah, they'll be flirting with the play-in. I think
they could be dangerous, but they have to still put a lot together.
Do you ever
in a
see
deep
Wemby
West.
averaging a triple-double?
As a center? I don't know if he could do it with the assists, but I mean,
what if they're blocks?
Maybe with blocks.
With blocks, dude, he's unfreaking real. I mean,
his block rate is, and he's getting better. Like it's
scary. It's insane. It's really scary. Yeah,
he's gonna be like
it's going to be
if
his.
He stays healthy.
Yeah, it's going to be.
He will be the all-time block. He's going to be the all-time block leader in NBA history if he stays relatively healthy.
Yeah,
he's insane.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
Who's winning? Do you guys have a candidate for most improved
for this last year?
Yeah. I'll just tell you, put your money right now on Kobe White from the Bulls. If you don't have one,
Kobe White.
I like that.
I know. Yeah,
I like that.
He's high up there.
CP3
is kind of out.
Young.
This is kind of out there. I kind of want to say Zion. He played a lot of games this year. He finally played the games, and he was really good. What a bummer. What a bummer he got hurt against the Lakers. Tie game with 3 minutes left. He was out playing LeBron. He had 40 points. He was playing great defense, and he gets hurt.
I was pulling for him, man.
But I'm just saying, he hasn't played more than how many games prior? He played high 60s in games. He qualifies. I'm just saying, I was so happy for him to finally kind of break through, and then he gets hurt in that playing game. It's like, oh, man.
I'm giving it to Kobe White. Kobe White.
Yeah, I love Zion. I'm rooting for Zion.
I think Kobe White's gonna. I'm just throwing him out there. I think Kobe White will win it for sure.
No offense, but I think no offense, New Orleans, because I love you as a city, but I think the minute Zion got picked by New Orleans, he started coasting. He's like, okay, this ain't serious until I leave here, right? Like there ain't no way. Like I'm building my legend as a Pelican. Right? Like one of the worst sports names ever.
By the way, I will say, for a big man who likes to eat, New Orleans is not a good city.
Not good.
How do you land on the Pelicans?
Let me tell you, these beignets are delicious.
Right?
Oh, dude, you can't have a bad meal in New Orleans. You cannot. Like, you just...
Popcorn, shrimp.
Dude, the shrimp, the seafood coming out of the Gulf, like, man, it's just unbelievable. Like, one of my favorite cities, and that's why, like, I root for that city, because that city doesn't have, like, besides the Saints, like, they got the Saints, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no baseball team, right? There's no hockey team. Like, that's all they got. And, like, it's definitely could be a great basketball city. It's just give them the name the Pelicans, right?
Well, they also have the owner is not great. No. That's a problem too. Yeah. That's a real problem.
Well, and that's the funny thing about like the NBA talking about like they want to expand again, and like yes, Seattle deserves a team. I think Seattle deserves a team.
Seattle and Vegas is what everyone's saying.
But it's all like scary because like what if the owner's a jerk? You know, what if you end up with You know, you can't vet these guys completely unless Mark Cuban comes back.
It's going to be John Fisher from the Oakland A's.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, you guys got that whole thing still, too. Yeah, you guys going to go to Vegas?
We're Giants fans. We're Giants fans.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I used to be an A's fan, but it's
do
sad.
They have to become the Vegas Aces or something?
The Vegas
they already
Aces?
have that. They already have that. That's the hockey team. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the WNBA.
Oh, I know that's the WNBA, but yeah, why not just? I don't know. The whole Oakland thing is tough, right? Because Oakland's a city that's like been in decline, and I get it. Like I've driven multiple times past the old stadium, and you look at it and you're like, okay, a professional team does not belong in here. But also, I get the public not wanting public funds going to millionaires and billionaires, especially the kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm a White Sox fan, and you got Jerry Reinsdorf, who he negotiated in, believe this or not, in the White Sox contract with the state of Illinois. If they do not draw a certain amount of people, they get money back from the state.
Wow.
So they have zero incentive to drive people to the ballpark. Like, whatever.
That's crazy.
You know, and now they're asking. Yeah. And now we've got them asking for a new stadium because they screwed up the last one. You know, it's like,
wow.
Yeah.
You know.
But having said all that, John Fisher sucks.
Yes, he does.
Do you know where it's harder? Okay. It's a lot harder to get a new arena built in San Francisco than Oakland. And Joe Lacob and Peter Gruber were they just took care of it and got it done.
Yep.
John Fisher's a clown. You know, it's
all private too, right? They didn't have any public funding on that.
No public funding. They didn't even bother. They know San Francisco would shoot it down. Same thing. San Francisco Giants, no public funding.
Yeah.
Same deal.
That's the way to do it.
Let's not get too far down that rabbit hole. Let's go back to the NBA. Let's give our first round picks for the playoffs. Okay.
Interesting.
Let's start with the West. The Thunder are going to play the winners of the Pelicans or the Kings, and I don't care who it is. I got the Thunder in 5.
Is it still best of, is it best of 7 in the first round now?
Yeah, first round. Yeah.
Ooh, I got the Kings. Taking the Thunder up to 6 games, but the Thunder.
Yeah, because Zion's out. So the Kings are deflated. Yeah, he's out for at least 2 weeks.
You still have OKC winning.
I still got OKC winning, but I think the Thunder will make it, or I think the Kings will actually make it a fun game. I think they'll make it a fun series.
Okay. I'm gonna say OKC also, but in 7. I think it's gonna be an interesting series.
Maybe because they're a young team and they'll have some nerves.
Young team.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
And I think the Kings with that win, they got a little mojo working.
I think Fox has.
They're missing some pieces.
Fox seems like that kind of dude that could take over a series for.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Be a problem.
Yeah. Yep. It should be a fun series if that's the series. I think the Pelicans losing Zion like that.
They're deflated.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. All right, we have the 2 seed Nuggets against the 7 seed Lakers. I have the Nuggets in 5, maybe 6.
I'm going to say 6.
If the NBA rigs a game for them. But either way, it's going to be so obvious. And that's why LeBron is going to the Warriors.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Are the Lakers still the top team in free throws in the league despite... Yeah.
Yeah, they live there.
They're up there.
Yeah. I'm going to say Nuggets in 6 on that one. I think the Lakers are going to fight. They're not going to get swept again.
I think the NBA helps extend it to a 7-game series. I think. I think Nuggets in 7.
Okay.
I don't know. I got AD and LeBron on my timeline talking about how they want revenge from last year.
I saw that. Yeah.
We know where Rui is.
I mean, they have
now.
to say that, right?
Yeah,
they
have put Rui in the right spot now. We've got to figure it out.
Right. D'Angelo's playing well. You know, he could get hot.
They got nice dudes on the Lakers. There's a lot of nice dudes I like, but it's just a good example of chemistry and overthinking how good somebody is just because they're on the Lakers. You know.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to get Austin Reeves going supernova like he did against the Warriors last year, and random guys coming off the bench, throwing daggers in. But we'll see. It'll definitely be a closer series than last year's was.
So. Sorry, I'm coughing a little bit.
No, you're good. So we're going to buy some time because we got 2 more matchups in the West, right?
Yeah. So is it Mavericks and Clippers?
Ooh.
This one I'm super interested in. I'm gonna say Mavericks in 6 games on this one.
I'm going Mavericks.
I like the Mavericks this year. Sweep.
I got Mavericks sweeping.
Okay. Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what's the status on Kawhi?
Boring.
Shrug.
No.
Injury wise,
he had some knee issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question mark. I don't think anybody knows.
That's what I'm saying. And you're not going to have his defensive prowess. Like, he's not going to be like 100%. So he's not going to be able to play D on Luka or Kyrie. And I think like those two just have a groove going now. It makes you feel like I'm going to say it's going to be a second round flame out but it's in the first round. Like, it's going to be magic. Like, those guys are just going to take turns roasting. And I don't know if Luka still gets up for the Clippers now that his favorite person's no longer on there. But, Luka versus the Clippers is some magic stuff.
Yeah.
I got Mavs in 6. I think there's enough talent on the Clippers that they're not just going to fold over.
Yeah, and I can't see the NBA. Yeah, I can't see the NBA allowing a sweep. They need that revenue. So I'll go Mavs in 5. Yeah, I'll go Mavs in 5.
Okay.
Let me change.
Right. I like the sweep energy, though. I like that.
Okay, and then the last one is kind of interesting. Timberwolves against the Suns. I have this going 7.
I could see that.
I could see KD kind of going off.
Are the Suns like the modern day Rockets? Are they the Rockets with like Clyde and Akeem and Charles Barkley? Like, is that what the Suns are? That's
actually a really good comp. That's actually a really good comparison.
He's got.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to go Suns. I'm going to go Suns in 7.
Wow. Timberwolves are at home, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The advantage. Home court.
No, I'm going to say Timberwolves. I'm going to say Timberwolves in 7.
Okay. I feel like it's 7 and a coin flip. That's how I feel.
I like it. I just see the two bigs. I see the double bigs because there's no more Ayton. Like they got the one big guy. But he's not. I don't think he can compete with Cat and Gobert. So
right.
That's the interesting thing. So who sticks Ant? Who are they putting on Anthony Edwards? Is it going to be
not Bill?
Not Booker. Not Booker.
So it's KD.
Booker's gotten a little better on defense, but yeah.
So it's KD.
Here's what I think. KD and Booker. I mean, they got wiped in the end by Denver last year, but we've also, when they see if those guys get rolling, they are dangerous.
Oh, they can get hot. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that's why I have it going 7, and it's a coin flip.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Timberwolves because I think Timberwolves were still one of the top defensive rated teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, they get after it, especially on the perimeter. So
they're really good. Yeah.
What I know is I will not bet on that series. I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I got to see what the odds are if I'll be enticed to make an investment. I got to see if there's a good payoff. But yeah, I could see the coin flip. But I like Minnesota still in that one. That's a good one. That's
agreed.
This is why I love the NBA playoffs.
There's a lot of good series. Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, let's go to the East. So we have the 1 seed Celtics playing either the Bulls or the Heat. Wait,
no, they're gonna play the Bulls. They're gonna play the Bulls. You could just put that right Bulls and
Bulls.
Jimmy's knee is messed up. Yeah, we finally.
I have the Celtics in a sweep.
I'll go Celtics in a gentleman's sweep. The 4-1 gentleman's sweep.
Okay,
they'll be up to 3-0 and let them have one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Bulls get one at home. Maybe let's say game 3, and then it's the Celtics finish it out.
We have the 2 seed Knicks against the 7 seed Philly 76ers. I have the Knicks in 6. Embiid just came back. I know Philly battled their way through that game. They were not looking good for much of it.
No, they weren't.
I got the Knicks in 6.
I think it's gonna be 7-game series in that one. I think the home teams are gonna win. It's kind of gonna be that kind of thing. And
to be fair, the Knicks don't have Randall. He's out. He's done for the season.
True.
That hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say Knicks in 7 on this one too. I think it's another 7-game.
I'm gonna go Philly in 6.
Ooh, okay, okay, interesting.
So, as in, you think Embiid's gonna go off?
Oh yeah, without Randall, not that Randall's like a defensive stalwart, but that's a lot. I know Brunson has taken over as the main player on their offense.
Yeah,
but man, oh man, Embiid's the MVP candidate. That's still the baddest boy.
And I will say, you know what? You know who else is in the most improved player conversation is Maxey.
Yes, and
he's
Maxey,
great.
and that's what's he's played with like a chip on his shoulder these last few games, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think they've seen him like it's not just he played one game and like went off. He's played multiple games.
He's been
and coming through.
I think we really saw with Harden out of town, it opened up for Maxey to just go off.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay. I think both teams are talented. That's going to be a really good series.
I don't think that's a crazy upset pick.
No.
No.
Because that team's a 7
won the MVP
seed.
last year.
They're a 7 seed because of injury. It's not their 7
seed. Also, let's
be clear.
Right.
Let's also be clear. Before Embiid went down, he was the front runner for MVP this year.
Like averaging over 30 points, right? Yeah, I mean,
he was scoring more than he was averaging more points than minutes.
Wow,
that's some Steph Curry type stuff. Like he was the front runner until he got hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a very fair argument. And again, this is another one I wouldn't gamble on either. I do not feel good about that series.
Nope.
I think the Knicks will pull it out, but maybe that's a little more with my heart than my head. I don't know. You know.
Yep. Well, I got a fun one for you guys. Pacers, Bucks.
I got Pacers.
No Giannis, right? At least to start. At least to start, it's confirmed. I think there's no Giannis.
Is Halliburton fully back? Is Halliburton like fixed?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, he's back.
He's playing.
He's still. Yeah, I want to say Pacers in 7.
That's not crazy. So you have the Pacers.
That's assuming they're going to go up, and then Giannis comes back, and then it's a battle to the end. But I'm not sure on Giannis's timeline.
And if he comes back, does he come back as Giannis, or does he come back?
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's why I go 7 games.
I'll go. Ooh, this is tough. Go ahead, Tony.
It's tough. It's tough.
I'll tell you this. I like the over in all the games. Pascal Siakam spinning.
Yeah.
Well, and I should say, if Giannis doesn't come back, I have Pacers in 5.
Ooh. I mean,
the Bucks have a losing record. That. The Bucks went 17-19 to finish the year.
Yeah. I hear that.
That was with Giannis.
Right. I'm going to say I think the Bucks pull it out. I'm going to say Bucks in 7. 6 or 7. Maybe let me say 6. Bucks in 6. I don't know about Halliburton. I think that's
right.
Like you said, you bringing that up, and just what I saw from him at the end of the season, he actually played really well against the Warriors, like really, really well. And I was like, he's back. And then, but that's kind of like seemed like an outlier. Yeah.
By the way, another good example.
Yeah. Everybody.
I mean, before Halliburton got hurt, he was in the MVP conversation.
Oh,
he was playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
I just wonder if they're like a regular season wonder, and then they fizzle out in the playoffs, right? Like, they remind me a little bit
experience.
Like that's those Suns teams, right? Like we're just gonna play with pace and go crazy. So I don't know like how sustainable that is in the playoffs, but you still got Dame and you still got Middleton on the other side. And if Halliburton's down,
Brook Lopez.
Your next best player is Siakam, and then after that, and everybody got better. Everybody gets better. Yeah, Miles Turner. Everybody gets better when Halliburton's at 100%.
Yeah.
So
I
think I'm gonna go Bucks on this one.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's gonna be an ugly series. It's gonna be a gross series, but but it's gonna go over. It's gonna go over a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, and for me, this is the most difficult choice of all the series, is Cleveland against Orlando. And I have no idea.
Can I say who I want to win? I want the Magic to win.
I do too. I want the Magic to win.
I like the Magic.
I
think they can too.
I guess I have to say 7 in a coin flip because I have no insight on this one and that matchup. I don't know. It's a really tough pick.
Yeah.
I think it's tough for me because the Cleveland Cavaliers have the worst uniforms in all of the NBA, I believe. And as a Bulls fan, I just me picking Cleveland is tough. So I'm
going to Orlando in 7.
I liked them.
I'm going to Orlando
against the Knicks last year. I think that was a hell of a series, but I feel like that team has regressed. Actually, I feel like they've regressed. Donovan Mitchell wants out. Orlando's like a young, hungry team. And I know if Orlando wins, we're not going to hear the end of it here in Chicago because, they got 2 Bulls picks and Wendell Carter Jr. basically on that team that we traded away for Vucevic. That's why we were so desperate to trade him to you guys. But, I think I'm going to I want the Magic to win because they're a younger team. But Cleveland, I feel like, has more talent. So
yeah.
Here's the thing. I was just gonna say, I feel like Cleveland is better on paper than on the court.
correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like
they
talent.
should be way
true.
better than they are.
That's true. Yeah.
Like you're like, look at this roster. They should be a 2 seed. Like, it doesn't compute. So I don't know what's going on there.
People were expecting those, like after that series that great series they had last year, like one of those other players was going to take a jump and nobody took a jump, right? So like it's like kind of like the same team. So yeah, I'll go with my heart and just say Magic in 6.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go Cleveland on this one just for experience factor. Like I said, I want fair. Orlando to win, but I think Cleveland's going to win it. But I see it being a long series, 6 or 7.
And Cleveland had a tough loss last year in the playoffs too.
Yeah,
so that experience can help you.
I can see Donovan Mitchell like turning it up a notch and like
raising his stock.
Yeah.
Come to Chicago, Donovan. Come to Chicago. Zach wants out. It's going to happen. Somebody's got to trade for Zach.
Okay.
And I heard Donovan wants out now. So
that's what they're saying. Yeah. So no, it should be fun though, man. There's a lot of really good matchups. It's going to be a bloodbath. I know the West is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times
gets out of the West.
A lot of the time, the first round is really boring. I think both conferences, relatively speaking, are so deep that we're going to get some really good series this first round.
100%. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm glad we broke this up into 2 podcasts because we went pretty long on both. So,
awesome,
so
though.
Matt Kusek, the Swoosh Life Podcast. If you're listening, check it out.
Yes, sir.
All about that Nike gear and golf in general, I guess.
Golf,
right?
whiskey,
Weber.
Yeah. I'm just pitching everything. These days. But yeah, guys, check me out on the Swoosh Life Podcast. We focus on golf. We do a lot of other sports. We do an NFL preview, NBA preview, and really we're for sneakerheads and like the people that want to nitpick whether the eyelets should have been gold on the East Side Golfs or if they should have been green. We love to talk about this stuff. We love to talk about uniforms. Like we did the NBA preview and we ranked everybody's uniforms. Again, Cleveland, such a letdown. I'll never get tired of saying that. I was just in Cleveland 2 weeks ago. Lovely city. So good for you guys. Not rooting for you still. All right. But that's all I got, man. Follow me at Matt Kusek on Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow Swoosh Life Podcast. We're available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And to
Absolutely.
our listeners, if you're new, subscribe on pretty much anywhere, YouTube, etc. And we'll be back soon. We're actually going to get back on our regular pace of recording podcasts without massive multi-week gaps. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
Unless I get hit by a bus. I don't know. But,
I think that's all you got left. You've been hit with everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Peace.
Shout out Swirlo.
That's it.